WHYY, First Bank of Sea Isle City, celebrating 135 years of providing mortgage loan services to residents and second homeowners on the Jersey Shore. First Bank of Sea Isle City, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Engage with your community at our WHYY events. Everything from family-friendly celebrations, book signings, and documentary screenings. Visit whyy.org/events for the latest information.
I'm Christopher Kimball from Elm Street Radio. Today I'm chatting with Chef Shola Owunyolo about how jazz has inspired his cooking. Plus, New Zealand chef Monique Fizo introduces us to Maori cuisine. Dan Pashman tells us how to make better pasta salad. And we make shrimp orzo and zucchini with ouzo and mint. Coming up this week on Mill Street Radio from PRX.
Coming up next on WHYY. Kurt Caswell is professor of writing and literature at Texas Tech University. And one day he decided to venture far from Texas to the end of the world. And if any place feels like the end of the world, it's gotta be Iceland. That's where he spent much of the summer backpacking and researching the Icelandic language. And because he's a professor of creative writing and literature, that experience eventually turned into a book. It's called Iceland Summer, Tales Along the Ring Road. And he's joining us today from Lubbock, Texas, to talk about his experiences traversing Iceland by foot. Kurt, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Wow, what a great combo. A literature professor exploring Iceland's most remote corners and packing along both a fascination with Icelandic sagas from the Viking times and a notebook. You must have been in hog heaven as a creative writer.
Yeah, that trip going to Iceland, I imagine that a number of years before I got there, and it was really one of the most spectacular and heroic landscapes I've ever been in.
Now, Kurt, you hiked and took buses all around the Ring Road. That's an 800-mile circular road around the entire island of Iceland. Tell us, you started out envisioning a long hike from town to town, but then the reality disappointed you and you ended up mixing it between bus rides and hikes. What was the deal?
Yeah, Scott and I, my walking partner, we decided that walking along those highways would be a bit of a drag, and it became much more compelling to us to get out into the backcountry on foot, and so we ended up deciding to bus from town to town and then make a trip into the backcountry instead.
And I've been on that road enough to know that it's a nice drive, but you wouldn't really want to walk it. What you want to do is get off the road.
Exactly.
Now, how did you navigate? Because you were dropped on the north tip of Iceland, 8 miles from where you're going to be sleeping, at 4 p.m. And you've been hiking into the wilderness. You could get turned around quite easily. I mean, it's just a vast, mossy lava, sort of otherworldly moonscape.
Absolutely. We had two forms of navigation. Well, we had good planning for one thing, but we also had a handheld GPS. But there's also a system of cairns that have been constructed along some of those trails. So places in which you're walking through a rocky, a rock field where you don't really see a trail, you can see these distant rock towers, and you go from rock tower to rock tower.
And that's what I envisioned from reading your chapter on that, is just you're looking at these 5-foot tall cairns, and you walk to one, and then it's a landscape is flat enough where you can see the next one, and you go to that, and you did that for 8 miles, and you started when most people would be wrapping up. You